This is Matthew Fox, and you're listening to the official Lost podcast on abc.com.
Welcome to the official Lost podcast. Today, we sit down with Matthew Fox to discuss a particularly painful topic, tattoos. He'll also be revealing more on-set antics. This week, birthdaying. Of course, we'll also be joined by our favorite birthday boys, executive producers Damon Lindelof and Carlton Hughes. And after last week's enigmatic question mark, they have some splaining to do. They'll also be marching us forward with a preview of this week's episode, 3 Minutes, which, in case you didn't already know, is the prelude to the season finale. 3 Minutes airs Wednesday, May 17th from 9 to 10 p.m., only on ABC.
You have to do it.
You do it yourself, John.
No, you saw the film, Jack. This is a two-person job, at least.
This argument is irrelevant.
Said, don't.
Jack.
Don't. It's not real. Look, you want to push the button, you do it yourself.
If it's not real, then what are you doing here, Jack? Why did you come back? Why do you find it so hard to believe?
Why do you find it so easy?
It's never been easy!
A few weeks ago, we interviewed Matthew Fox about all things Lost, but the one topic we didn't get to cover is the one that covers him, tattoos.
Yeah, actually, when I was cast in Lost, I remember talking to JJ and Damon about the tattoos and wondering whether or not that every day I was walking around this island, whether I was going to have to do tattoo coverage, and they thought it was a really cool idea and I think it's very interesting as well. I mean, it's not something that you would normally think that a spinal surgeon, and with sort of Jack's background, that he would have gone through a period where he did that, but I think it makes for a really interesting story. That's what tattoo for me is really about, is sort of memories or ideas or moments or events in my life that are very, very important, and I think things that I want to make a part of me. And so I imagine Jack probably approached it the same way, and so finding out what they mean to Jack Shephard is going to be really interesting. I have a feeling that the next chapter in his backstory after what's happened with him and Sarah will involve him probably spinning out pretty badly and going to a fairly dark part of himself at some point. And I think that the tattoos that Jack Shephard has will have something to do with that period of his life.
It's just that you and your tattoos don't add up. Are you one of those hardcore spinal surgeons?
That's me. Hardcore.
You guys are finished verbally copulating. We should get a move on. There's a whole beach of people waiting for us to get some drinking water for them.
Okay, let's do this.
Hey, Charlie. Ask Jack about his tattoos.
Oh, you guys have an inside joke. How absolutely wonderful for you both.
Oh, tattooing for me it's a pretty intense experience. Again, I mean, I've never done any tattoo that was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. I've never done anything that was just aesthetic. Some of them I've drawn myself. Some of them I've had given ideas to other artists that have drawn them and then applied them. And so they are they're a long process for me. I spend a lot of time when I decide that I want to take something in my life and have it represented on my body in some sort of art, form. It's a really long and fairly intense process. So yeah, I do enjoy it though.
As most girls will tell you, guys with tattoos are hot. As long as they don't say, "I heart breakfast cereal," or some wimpy crap like that. But the real question is, did Matthew's tattoos play any part in his acquiring the nickname Foxy?
That nickname was a nickname that my father, all of his friends called him as well. And so I really, in that respect, it's very nostalgic to me. And it's, I think a great deal of my dad and remember as a child his friends calling him Foxy and how familiar that was, and the way they obviously really liked him, and I really I don't mind that. I don't mind it at all.
Last podcast, Naveen Andrews revealed some of the ways people deal with the long days on set. His answer was corpsing. Fox sees as a little more, well, absurd in that sort of Mad Hatter's Tea Party kind of way.
Well, for some reason or another, I don't know how this got started, but lately on the set, people have been being chosen to have happy birthday. I mean, somebody will just choose somebody and we'll all sing happy birthday to them, and it's not their birthday. And it's sort of like, it kind of puts people on the spot for all the wrong, I don't know. It's just one of the sort of, the crew works these incredibly long hours, and it's a very strenuous show to shoot, and so we're kind of coming up with what would seem to be some sort of inane ways of entertaining ourselves.
Of course, the two people that are always entertaining, but never inane, are executive producers Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse, whom we now turn it over to for a preview of this week's epic adventure, 3 Minutes.
Well, hello and welcome to another podcast, Damon.
Welcome. Well, thank you, Carlton.
No, you're just supposed to say thank you, not welcome.
Thank you. I could say you're welcome.
Yes, you could say you're welcome.
Thank you, Carlton. You're welcome.
Well, let's rehash question mark. Should we do that?
Yes. Yes, we should.
So we discovered another hatch called the Pearl.
We did.
What's up with that?
Locke and Echo were sort of led there via a sort of dream-like imagery, both of them sort of interconnectedly. Echo had a dream, sort of telling him that he had to find this place, and then Locke had a dream where he thought he was Echo, and Yemi was in it. There was a wheelchair, kind of tripped out, and then big question mark, did a little digging. There you go.
Fantastic. So
let's move on.
Is there anything about the hatch that viewers should keep in mind as we're moving towards the finale?
I think there was a lot to digest in there. I mean, you know, what's really cool, and my wife Heidi sort of pointed this out to me, is that whole scene from when Locke and Echo go in there, they just don't say anything to each other for several minutes until Echo finds the orientation tape. He just turns around and says John. But there's all these sort of significant discoveries going on. As a fan, I would sort of be fairly interested in that printout that Locke, that might be coming back at some point.
That'd be a good guess.
But
and of course, you know, what the discovery of the hatch means in terms of Echo and Locke's attitude is also really important.
No, absolutely. Even more important, in fact. And the idea that Echo has now stated that he is going to go back and start pushing the button, and Locke is done pushing the button, that's sort of an interesting role reversal for a guy who once said to Jack, I'm gonna be the one who pushes this button come hell or high water. So, Locke's faith has been challenged, and he's sort of come out the other side and decided that he's been engaged in a fool's errand, which is hopefully not the way people will feel about Lost when all is said and done.
This episode was the episode that Darren Aronofsky was slated to direct, and unfortunately he fell out due to his own movie and his some personal obligations. So we ended up having Darren Sarafian direct the episode, and who did a really excellent job, I think.
And he spells his name differently than Darren Aronofsky.
Right. But they probably are the two best Darren directors out there.
I would be hard-pressed to think of a third Darren, along the two Darrens theme of life, that began in Bewitched.
Exactly.
And now that fine legacy continues here at Lost.
Here on Lost, exactly. So, 3 minutes, that's coming up next, Damon.
And, Carlton, there's a lot of speculation out there is that the episode is called 3 minutes because it's only 3 minutes long. Is there any truth to that rumor?
It is. In fact, ABC is going to be selling a massive amount of commercial time so that we can make a spectacular Titanic-like episode next year of the show.
We've actually, the good news for you
revenue.
fans, we can break here for you right here, podcast exclusive. Lost has been picked up for a third season of 181 episodes, but each episode will only be 4 minutes long.
Exactly.
So we're hard at work on those already.
I know. Next year's going to be busy. We're going to have the episodes and the mobisodes and
all sorts of fun things.
All sorts of fun stuff
surprises
happening.
That we're cooking up.
In fact, we've actually been working with the writers for season 3 already and doing a little what we call mini camp. We were actually in Hawaii last week with the entire season 3 writing staff, sort of planning out in a little bit more detail what our stories are going to be for season 3.
That should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to season 3.
I can tell. I think you'll be looking a little bit more forward when you get back from your vacation.
Exactly. Well, we're in the midst of editing the finale as well right now. So as just in terms of the behind the scenes peek at things, and I know this isn't about 3 minutes. We finished shooting the finale just about 2 days ago, and
in fact, we're actually shooting pickup shots today for the finale,
and it will air. Depending on when you're listening to this podcast, 2 weeks from the day that we finished shooting it. So that's a fairly compressed time period for all of our amazing crew to do their effects and Michael Giacchino to write his score. And
we have 4 editors cutting it, and it's going to be really good. We're very excited about it.
That explains why Carlton is not as funny today as he usually is. I'm trying to do it all.
You're a barrel of laughs today yourself.
I am, but 3 minutes. Michael's episode. We're going to be finding out, I believe, I am told, a little more about why he did what he did to Anna Lucia and Libby, and
let's face it, they've got a shot of Walt in the promos, so Walt.
We'll probably be seeing
Walt.
We'll probably be seeing Walt.
Yeah, and it's actually, I think, an episode that's going to help the fans understand with a little bit more clarity why Michael did the things that he did. Would that be fair?
I think it's very fair.
Excellent. Should we just get on to the questions? Because
that's all I really showed up for.
Okay. Can I start?
Would you?
Podcast comment: Tomatoes by Lost Girl 71. Long-time listener, first-time poster.
Wow.
Damon, quit making fun of Carlton for eating tomatoes like a piece of fruit. Tomatoes are fruit. They are technically a berry. I wouldn't even touch your pants.
Wow.
Will we be seeing tomatoes on any upcoming episodes? And are tomatoes the key to the island's mysteries?
Carlton, I am sorry that I made fun of you for eating tomatoes like fruit. And oddly enough, I don't even touch my own pants, which makes it very difficult to get dressed in the morning. But there's a complex apparatus.
Well, you never wear them anyway, so
I don't even get into it.
The Scottish kilt thing, by the way, is actually many people consider it very flattering. I've heard some very good comments around the lot.
It all depends on where I wear mine. This is it. I'm wearing a below the knee kilt this morning, and I think that's much more.
Well, it's because it's kind of foggy today.
Yeah, exactly. But
tomatoes are the key to the island's mysteries,
as are kilts. So, Carlton, may I ask you a question, please?
Somebody answer that phone. Go ahead.
This is posted by Potential Flip. I guess that's a threat because she'd potentially flip channels if we begin to piss her off. Is there some kind of message that in the deaths?
Are you sure it doesn't refer to like just her tone as being flip?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll never know. There's a mystery for us to never
exactly.
to get solved. Is there some kind of message in the deaths on the island? The last 3 women to die on the island have all A, been women, B, entered into some kind of romantic relationship, C, and all got gut shot. There are all kinds of lines to be connected here, but the message that jumps out at me is, should all the unmarried women on the island invest in bulletproof chastity belts?
Clearly. And by the way, by romantic relationship, you mean sex.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, we're not really trying to be that moralistic, are we?
Libby didn't have sex.
She didn't have sex. Well, no, but she was getting ready to
the message there
get
is,
down there with the blankets and the wine.
Even thinking about it will get you gut shot.
If you think about sex, you're pretty much dead on Lost, I think.
So, and if you're a woman.
Yes, exactly.
That's pretty much the rule of it, I guess.
Yes, so you're absolutely right. In fact, chastity belt, a Kevlar chastity belt would be very good.
Available at your local Walmart this summer.
Fantastic.
A new Lost product.
So, podcast question.
Yes.
What was on the table in the Pearl, Damon, by JodoCast? So tell me, Damon and Carlton, were the previous inhabitants of the Pearl Station avid cannabis fans? I'm pretty sure I saw a joint and cannabis nuggets on the table that Locke shone his flashlight on when Locke and Echo first came into the monitoring room. What's the deal, homies?
Well, it was a cigarette that was still burning. But if it were cannabis, that would certainly explain a lot about what was going on in that Pearl station.
If one was sitting in the Pearl station watching those monitors all day, one might want to actually.
It would be
have
awesome
some
if they
cannabis.
found like Pink Floyd's The Wall down there and The Wizard of Oz, and they realized that they were like watching it with the music on there, like I used to do in college. But of course, without cannabis, because drugs are bad.
Exactly.
We just want to say that on the record, real bad. It just occurred to me that I meant Dark Side of the Moon instead of The Wall. That's what you watch The Wizard of Oz to.
That's right. And so you haven't been, imbibing in any of those
No,
substances.
but drugs are still bad.
They are bad.
Hey, Carlton.
Yeah.
This
Damon.
is from Yagol. There's literally no vowels in this person's name.
From Eastern
YGOLOA.
Europe.
Yep. People who work on Lost seem to be very tight-lipped about the show's goings-on. There haven't been many significant spoilers leaked about the show. Since so many people work on the show, how is it that not much information has been leaked? Do you tie your employees up? Do you blindfold them on set? Or are they just content to keep their mouths shut?
We actually do tie them up. It makes the crew work a little slower, but in fact, it's kind of essential for security purposes. No, it's actually been amazing. I think, everyone who works on the show really does appreciate the success of the show and sort of recognizes that the success of the show is in part due to the fact that fans don't get the stories spoiled. So everyone has been really quite amazing at keeping the secrets of the show. In fact, when we try to do our sort of no way out, ferreting out of intelligence when there are leaks, it usually seems to appear that it comes from more like within the corporate halls here as opposed to from the crew.
Right. So, a lot of people were genuinely surprised by Michael shooting Ana Lucia and Libby, and the reason that is because we let everybody know on our team that we wanted to keep that a secret. And then there are other things that we talk about that we sometimes tease, and like Desmond's coming back, for example, in the finale,
right.
That we know that we couldn't possibly protect as a secret, but hopefully by revealing that, people are less hungry to go seeking spoilers.
Yeah, and I think that people who really want to find spoilers can dig around on the internet and probably locate them. And our real concern is basically just trying to make sure they don't bleed across into the Main Street press, because I think people don't really want to have the experience ruined. And I think that we sort of felt like by announcing that Shannon was dying earlier in the season,
someone was dying, right?
Someone was dying, yeah. But that
everyone found out.
Yeah, it motivated everyone to find out that it was her. So when it actually happened, it was not a secret at all. All right, let me ask you one more question here, Damon.
Final question.
Perhaps the most important question about Lost.
Whoa.
By Exalted Sin 50.
Right.
Simply put.
Uh-oh.
When is the Geronimo Jackson album being released? I cannot wait to hear their complete rap about the lemony-limey taste of Sprite. In fact, I honestly don't think anyone can. So, when can I expect to buy a copy? And will either of you be appearing on it? Though Damon seems like he might have a really bad singing voice, so let's hope not. Carlton, maybe. On a side note, keep up the good work and good luck with the zombie season. James M.
Well, James, that is officially the most important question we've ever been asked about Lost, and
it's the greatest question.
It is sort of fantastic. All we can say about Geronimo Jackson is that in terms of finding their music, I guess you have to go out and look for it, because this is a real band. So there are only 2 albums that we know of, only one of which we've ever listened to. But they are just sort of an obscure band who did most of the recording in the early 70s, I guess. So in terms of actually getting their music, we'd be happy to burn you a CD of our album, but there probably weren't many pressings because the band was not terribly successful. That's what makes them so charming.
And Damon actually does have a desire to sing a Geronimo Jackson cover, but we haven't actually found the appropriate place to put that in the show yet.
Exactly. So enjoy your Sprite, James.
All right then. So I guess we'll see you guys next time for another exciting podcast.
There's only one podcast left, I guess.
Well, I think there are 2 actually, aren't there?
We're going to
do one before the finale, and then we'll do post-finale.
Well, there's only one more
wrap-up.
podcast in advance of a new episode of Lost.
Well, there is that. Yes, exactly.
I'm trying to build up like there's a finale podcast
Only
coming.
one more podcast before the Lost finale.
If this podcast rocked your socks, just
Wait
wait
for the
until
next
next
one.
podcast. I can't do the voice as well as you.
Well,
All right.
but you can probably sing better than James M. thinks, don't you think? Do you want to sing?
we
you
are
wanna
not-
Sing, you
we
want
are-
to sing us off?
I can't
tonight?
possibly sing worse than James M. thinks, so I will just bid you a fair adieu.
Adieu.
Gesundheit.
Bye.
That brings us to the end of this podcast. Be sure to check out abc.com where you can submit your own fan questions and also stream this week's episode of Lost after it airs. Just go to lost.abc.com. 3 Minutes airs Wednesday, May 10th from 9 to 10 p.m. only on ABC.